Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack the sources you provide to find those surprising nuggets of knowledge.
That's right.
Today, we're diving into a really fascinating topic: how to truly excel at communication, make an instant great first impression, and, well, build trust really quickly.
And our source for this is pretty insightful. It's a video transcript from the YouTube channel Web5Gay.
Okay.
The title translates roughly to "Want excellent communication? Here are 3 tippy S."
3 tips. Sounds good.
Yeah. And our mission today is basically to distill these tips into, actionable, easy to grasp insights that you can use right away to maybe transform your interactions.
Okay, let's get into it then. So the source starts off by challenging a pretty common idea, doesn't it?
It really does.
It argues that being like a smooth, eloquent talker isn't actually the most important thing.
Exactly. It even says that people who talk really well aren't always the most liked or trusted, which is interesting.
Yeah, it is. So if it's not, verbal skill,
Yeah.
what is the most critical factor then?
Well, this is where it gets bold. The source claims, quite strongly, that genuine attention or deep concentration is paramount.
Attention. Okay.
It literally says if you don't have attention, it's over.
Wow. Strong words.
Very. The idea is that real attention helps you avoid those awkward silences. It makes sure you don't talk nonsense.
Right. Keeps you relevant.
Precisely. And maybe most importantly, it lets you build rapport and trust incredibly fast. They call it like a 50% win right off the bat.
Huh. 50%. Just from paying attention, that's powerful. It makes you think, how often are we physically there, but mentally
Yeah.
somewhere else?
Totally. So if attention is the foundation,
Well,
what exactly should we be focusing on?
good question.
The source points to 2 specific things. The actual words the person's
Well,
saying,
obvious enough.
but also their expressions, their
Yeah.
body language, everything nonverbal.
Ah, okay. So the whole picture.
Yes. And all your responses, it argues, should come directly from observing those things.
This is where it gets really practical because the source gives some really vivid examples.
It does, yeah.
Like imagine meeting a client at a cafe and they just clearly look exhausted or sad or maybe just hesitant.
Right. You can see it on their face.
But an inattentive person might just barrel ahead, keep talking, maybe try to crack jokes.
Yeah, totally missed the mark.
But the source says an observant person notices that fatigue, and instead of more words, they offer something practical.
Like what?
Like uh, suggesting a moment of rest, offering a glass of water. Or even, this was a nice touch, subtly asking the cafe owner for a cold tissue and offering it.
Oh, wow. That's thoughtful.
Exactly. It's this quiet act of kindness. And the source calls that the pinnacle of communication.
The pinnacle. That's high praise for not talking.
Right. It says sometimes showing an act of kindness without saying anything beats talking a lot. The key phrase was, it's more important to talk properly rather than talk much. Or maybe thoughtfully is a better word than properly.
Thoughtfully, yeah. Reading the situation, there's another example, too, about meeting someone who might be a bit overweight. If you're not paying attention, you might just casually bring up sports or, hitting the gym.
Oof. Yeah, could be awkward. Or worse.
Exactly. Could unintentionally hurt their pride. Attention tells you what not to say.
That's just as important. And what about the first date example? With the shoes.
Oh, right. The person keeps glancing down at their shoes.
Yeah, an observant person picks up on that. Maybe they're new, maybe a favorite pair.
And so you comment on them.
Yeah, offer a genuine compliment or ask about them. The source calls attention the greatest gift you can give in communication.
The greatest gift. I like that.
But it also warns, don't fake it if you don't actually like the shoes.
Find something else.
Exactly. Shift your attention. Notice their makeup, their clothes, even their lipstick color. Find something you can genuinely appreciate.
That feels more authentic, too. And what about using, prior knowledge?
Oh, yeah, the social media tip. Very practical. Like,
Mhm.
you see a friend's Facebook post about being stressed with work. When you see them, you can start by asking about that. You're tapping into what's already in her heart, as the source puts it.
Ah, so it leads to a more natural, maybe deeper conversation right away. Because you noticed.
Exactly. And that leads into the night class example, which is all about keeping a conversation going.
How does that work?
You start basic, name, job, why they're taking the class, simple stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then you really listen to the answers, find keywords, like if they say they work in IT.
Okay, IT. Then what?
Then you use that keyword for your next question. Oh, IT, are you more into programming or hardware?
Ah, you follow the thread.
Exactly. And they might say, oh, telephone programming, and boom, you have more details, more threads to follow. It keeps it flowing naturally.
So you never run out of things to say because you're genuinely listening and reacting.
Right. And it also warns against, negative talk. Keep it constructive.
So tying it all together, this kind of deep attention stops you from having that empty mind feeling in conversations.
Yeah, the panic of what do I say next?
And it stops you from bad talks. It's the foundation, really, for giving that greatest gift and getting people to, well, like and trust you quickly because they feel genuinely seen.
It makes perfect sense. So moving beyond that first impression, how does this connect to building stronger relationships? That brings us to tip number 2.
Right. Researching interests.
The source calls this a deep, easy way to create a good relationship, even with people you barely know.
A deep, easy way. That sounds promising.
Well,
But how easy is it really to know someone's interests?
the source makes a good point. In this, Facebook decade or Zalo world, as it says.
Yeah, social media everywhere.
It's actually incredibly simple. Just search on their Facebook accounts and you instantly get the points.
The points being their interests, hobbies.
Exactly. And that knowledge is described as a gold mine for making a real impression.
A gold mine. Okay, give me an example.
All right, the source uses this scenario. You're the new person at work. You have lunch with your boss. Let's call him Mr. Min.
Okay, newbie and the boss. Potentially awkward lunch.
Could be. But if you saw on his social media that he's a huge football fan.
Ah, you have an in?
Exactly. You can just casually ask, oh, Mr. Min, you often watch football matches, don't you? Simple.
And if you happen to like football too.
Even better, you can talk about recent matches. Did you watch the MU match last night, for instance?
And suddenly it's not an awkward work lunch anymore.
Right. The source says that kind of conversation about shared passions can last to dusk. People love talking about what excites them.
It builds a totally different connection, doesn't it? It's not just about work competence anymore. It's trust, affection.
Yeah, and the source notes people are emotional. We tend to believe and favor people we genuinely like.
True. But what if, you don't have their social media? Or it's just a random meeting, like that English class scenario again.
Good point. In that case, the source says you just proactively ask.
Ask directly about interests.
Yep. Something like, so in your free time, do you play computer games or play sports or anything else? Just open the door.
And people are generally okay with that.
The source claims that the vast majority of cases, people respond very enthusiastically.
Why is that?
Because interests are, quote, synonymous with excitement. People light up. Okay, so you ask, and they say, I don't know, they love reading books.
And then what?
Respond with genuine curiosity. Ask for recommendations. Oh, really? What have you read lately that you'd suggest?
Wait, show you're actually interested.
Exactly. And the source emphasizes really participating. Don't just ask and move on. Maybe even pull out your phone, search for the book they recommend, look at reviews.
Wow, okay, so really dive in.
Yeah. Show you're completely immersed. It's not faking it. It's genuine engagement. And by doing that, you learn something new, you show humility, and your enthusiasm makes them feel valued.
I can see how that would build connection quickly.
Totally. So the bottom line for this tip is if you don't bother finding out what the other person likes, you're missing a huge opportunity to become, as the source says, a beloved person.
It all comes back to caring about their interest.
You give a care to other people's interests. That's the core.
Okay, that makes sense. So attention first, then genuine interest in their passions. What's the third tip?
The final one. It's about the perception of politeness and specifically avoiding a common trap.
A trap? What trap?
Treating communication like a competition. The source warns that daily conversation is very different from like a fight or a debate, but we often act like it is.
Oh, I think I know what you mean, like one-upping each other.
Exactly. The source describes it perfectly. One person shares something, maybe something they're proud of, and the other person immediately jumps in to say something greater.
Can you give an example from the source?
Yeah, classic ones. Like someone says, my child has just passed the entrance exam to University of Science and Technology.
Okay, proud parent moment.
And the other person immediately responds, oh, that's nice. My child has just gone to the USA to study.
Ouch. Yeah, takes the wind right out of their sails.
Totally. Or someone says, I've just flew back from Dalat, like a local trip.
And the response is,
Oh, really? I've just got back from Thailand. Always bigger, better, more impressive.
why is that approach so, well, damaging?
According to the source, it makes people lose their mood, it can make them feel inferior,
Yeah, inadequate.
and it touches their narcissism, basically wounding their pride.
Mm.
It just breeds frustration and kills the connection.
It turns conversation into a fight. Like you hit him, he hit you back harder.
Exactly. So what's the fix? What if you genuinely do have something maybe cooler or better to share in that moment?
The source's advice is incredibly simple, almost profound.
What is it?
Just please do not say it out. Just listen to him. Just share with him. Just enjoy his story.
Just don't say it. Zip it.
Pretty much. It stresses you should not show off. Showing off is framed as a nonsense action
Nonsense. Why?
because often it goes unrecognized anyway, and it really only feeds your own ego, your pride, your bossiness, and it can so easily just escalate into an argument.
That raises a really good question the source brings up. Why do we compete like this when there's no reward?
Right, what's the prize for winning this little conversational skirmish?
Nothing, really.
Exactly. The source questions the whole behavior. It drains energy, achieves no real honor. It even suggests, maybe a bit extremely, that if you can't resist that urge to compete with someone,
Yeah.
it might be better not to talk to them at all than to get into a meaningless communication that just becomes a quarrel,
Wow. So avoid the fight altogether if you can't help yourself.
basically. The core message is, if you do choose to communicate, never confuse a conversation with a brawl.
Don't bring boxing gloves to a coffee chat.
Precisely. And if you practice this, give attention, avoid competing the source promises, you'll become a very appealing person.
Appealing how?
People will trust you, they'll like you. Even if you haven't, climbed the corporate ladder or achieved huge life goals yet.
It's just because of how you interact.
Yes.
Yeah.
They'll recommend you for things, for jobs. They'll share interesting stuff with you. The source is, you probably know someone like this already.
Yeah, I think I do. Someone who just makes you feel heard.
And if you're a manager, you likely recommend those kinds of people, right?
Yeah.
Because you appreciate how they communicate, how they pay attention.
That's a really strong point. Wow, what an illuminating deep dive.
Yeah, quite packed.
So we've basically uncovered 3 incredibly simple yet really powerful principles for transforming communication.
Let's recap them quickly.
Okay. 1, give genuine focused attention. Really listen, really observe.
2, research and connect through other people's interests. Show you care about what they care about.
And 3, resist that urge to compete or show off in conversation. Keep the ego in check.
Exactly. And these aren't just, about being nice or polite in a superficial way.
No, it feels deeper than that.
It is. The source argues they're foundational for building real trust, earning genuine affection, and just making you a truly appealing person in, all parts of your life.
Imagine how much better, how much more fulfilling daily interactions could be just by shifting these small things.
It's quite profound when you think about it. Small changes, big impact.
So for everyone listening, what stands out to you from this? Think about the people in your own life. Who do you find really appealing to talk to? Who do you connect with easily?
Yeah, do they naturally seem to use these principles? Do they give you their full attention? Do they remember your interests? Do they let you have your moment without one-upping you?
Maybe these insights from the source today can help you unlock even more of those profound, really rewarding connections in your own life.